Okay, here is part 5 for question 5 of English Language Paper 2. This question is worth 50% of the marks on your English Language Paper 2, so it's a really important question to get right. At this point in the exam, if it starts at bang on 9 o'clock, it's around 10 o'clock and you have 45 minutes left in which to tackle this question. Obviously, if you've got extra time, you need to adjust your timings to suit you and your needs. I've made a point of writing at the top of my paper here that I'm 1 hour down. Obviously, for you, you'll know that you need to make sure you save a decent amount of time at the end to tackle this question. Using my highlighter, I am looking at keywords and phrases in this question. And what the exam board have actually done for the section B writing is written some really, really important pointers. They've made a point of writing twice to plan your answer, and they also make a point of proofreading. It's important because obviously this exam, this 40-mark question, is broken down into 2 parts. You've got AO5, which is your content and organisation, so that's your structure, what you write, how you respond to the task, and then you also have 16 marks for spelling, punctuation and grammar. That implies that it's essential that you are really, really careful with your spelling, your sophisticated vocabulary, and making sure that we use proper and appropriate punctuation. What I am now writing is exactly how many minutes I need to spend on each component or each part of this question. I would aim to spend between 5 and 7 minutes planning, between 33 and 35 minutes writing, but making sure I save 5 minutes at the end of my exam to proofread properly, look for any punctuation I can upgrade, any sentence openers that I can replace, but also thinking about my spelling. Are there really common spellings that you have spelled incorrectly that you can tweak just to make the difference now? I'm now looking at the actual brief, the actual task, making sure that I focus on my purpose, my audience, and my form. Generally speaking, AQA write these tasks that can be broken down into 2 or 3 parts, which makes it really, really easy to plan for. I'm also highlighting that I'm writing an article that is in a school website, or on a school website rather, and it's making me think about who I am writing for. I'm not just writing to one person, I have to appeal to quite a wide audience. I'm writing an article, so I might want to include a subheading, but I'm definitely not starting by saying dear sir or madam. I'm also arguing my point of view, so that might change the rhetorical devices that I want to use in this piece. For me, breaking down the question by thinking about my purpose, audience and form is part of the planning process. I'm going into this question with a really clear view of exactly who I want to address and why I want to address them. And here you can see that for the next few seconds, for the next few minutes, I am actually just sitting and planning. I'm not planning in detail, as you might want to do in practice, but especially to condense down in the exam. But what I'm thinking about is how in my paragraph 1, I need to introduce my argument. I need to show my readers exactly what it is that I want to talk about. I might want to think about using things like direct address, perhaps an anecdote, but definitely making sure that whatever rhetorical devices I decide to use are engaging. At this point, if you're sat thinking, what's a rhetorical device or what is direct address, that is a really, really good thing to revise for your exam. In days gone by, we might have used a forest grid. If you Google that, it will come up with a series of different rhetorical devices that are really engaging to include in pieces of non-fiction or transactional writing. Things like imperatives, things like opinions, facts, statistics, repetition, anything that makes your piece engaging for a reader and makes them want to read on. I'm now planning my second paragraph, and this paragraph is one of my main body ones. I'm no longer introducing my argument. And for this, I think it's really important that we make sure we include lots of examples. This task was all about the past being in history and that we don't need to think about it anymore. I actually don't agree with that. And I think if I was writing this article, I would focus on some really key examples of things that have happened in the past and how they have a massive impact on modern society and how they are incredibly influential. Why should we still focus on the past and still use it to inform our future? The second paragraph was all about innovation and how we need to consider our future instead of our past. And for here, you might want to, again, include some really concrete examples like AI for an example that you could use. With this, think about what rhetorical devices you might want to include that would be really appealing to the reader about halfway through this article. So things like facts, opinions, statistics, An expert opinion is always nice if it's relevant to your piece and you make it seem realistic. Obviously, the examiner knows that you are not sat there and you are not Googling really clear expert opinions. So what they want you to do is include something that actually boosts your argument rather than include something that seems preposterous and highly unlikely. I'm now planning my third paragraph, and again, making sure if I'm including examples, I'm also including solutions. If you can think of an alternate opinion or an alternate point of view, this might be a really, really nice place to include it. Think about the flip side. Think about speaking to someone who does not have the same opinion or the same view as you, and how you can consider all of your readership in this argument or in this piece of persuasive writing. What you can see now is me planning my mic drop ending. How can I leave a lasting impact on my reader? How can I make my article memorable? And in the context of this, how can I ensure that the examiner enjoys my article and it leaves an impact on them? For this, you would think about summarising your argument, making sure that you are rounding it off in either a cyclical or impactful way. In the exam, you are most likely to plan on your actual question 5 space. So one of the things that's really useful to do is to write plan before you actually start, just so it's really clear, or draw a nice neat line through it, just so the examiner is aware that that is not part of your actual response. As always, if you go onto Google Classroom, there are some sentence stems in that big document that I'm hoping you've been referring to throughout this few video series. There are also some really fantastic Mr. Bruff clips that'll give you some great high-level responses for this question, even full mark responses. And you can also refer to past papers for some practice questions. Happy revising and good luck with your exam.